Okay, we're live.
Okay, guys, so approval of the February minutes.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. The visitors' comments? None?
Nope.
No, you're all good. I'm just here. Commission member,
Hi, how's it going? All right, how are you?
great. So good to see you. Frank,
Yes, Frank.
Frank Romano.
From the Parkmore Drive.
Yeah, Purple Driving. Let's go around the room. Ron Clip from the Hub. Fran, of course.
Karen,
Francis, you can.
Karen Drexler, story 7.
David Smith, Smith Patrick CPAs.
Jordan, former member.
But he's here until we can find replacements, because
Right.
I can't give members forms. Officer Razul is our local.
We've met a few times. Keep trying to hide my comment.
And then we also have Tim.
Tim Delaney, Zoe's attic. Mash pit.
And then Stacy may pop on there in a minute or
Right.
later, we'll see. Thank you for joining, we appreciate it.
Pleasure to be here.
Okay, so back to, we're on the budget for 2024. Eric sent out some stuff last night, and it's the same stuff we've just received today about the potential changes that we made. And we're supposed to go over those today and just say if we approve them or not. I just do want to point out that we are working on a pretty decent deficit. Which we have the fund balance to do, and we've been in discussion that some people don't believe that this is really going to happen or not. But it's math. We have a CPA here who will tell you that it's addition and subtraction, and it's what it is.
It is math.
It's
Kind of a thing.
yeah, it's a real thing. So
Stacy's here with us too.
Oh, am I on as a visitor?
Yes,
How do I get on as a non-visitor?
you are right now.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
the visitor not allowed to make comments.
Yeah, I have to recognize them. They have to raise their hand and then I have to recognize them before they can talk when they're a visitor.
I got you.
That's why you guys get the personal link sent to you, so you don't have to do that.
I see. All right.
On the record, I do not get personal links sent to me. I've let Eric know numerous times. Sorry.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
So this budget, this represents the changes we discussed.
It
last
does. It does.
Is the street dance still on?
It is.
Okay,
Yes,
month. I
it
can
wasn't.
give an update on the street. dance
I didn't mean
after
to, I
budget.
just saw it on the budget. I knew there was a stage
Mhm.
issue maybe.
They will get one from Fergus Florissant.
Okay.
I do have a question about capital improvements like the bench replacement.
Mhm.
Is there a way that we can like lease to own or like finance that versus just taking the cash out of the fund, or is that an Eric question?
It could be an Eric question, but I mean,
There's probably no reason to do that. It's not,
yeah,
Just
yeah, not really,
like a
it's
bullet.
not a cash flow issue necessarily.
Okay.
it's expensive though.
It's just, it's just another expense, right?
And the last benches that we had, which these new benches that were replaced, these should last longer, and the last benches lasted 20+ years.
Easily.
So it is a one-time bigger hit. We had issues, well, not issues, but we had some LED streetlights we had to help fund, put that in many years ago. It was a bigger hit to us.
Okay.
The city kicked in half, I think our take was 22 grand or something like that. Yeah, so there's certain things sometimes we have to just take that way
Okay.
and kind of
Fair enough. And then with the advertising on like all of the events that we do, is that our cash outlay as a sponsorship? Or
It
is
is
that
this
money to
business, it
put-
is this taxing districts, money that usually gets funneled to.
Some of it goes to
trade,
the trade association, some goes directly to.
the
city.
advertisers.
Okay,
Like,
but we're not fully paying for the whole event, are we?
No,
Okay.
not so much, but trade does not have very much money.
Yeah.
You know, and so, that's,
The event that we pay the most percentage on probably is the Oktoberfest.
Right.
Everything else is and I'd say at least half funded, if not 60-70% funded by sponsorships or other fees.
and in some cases, some of the events that. So we're asking for the budget for. Starting in the end of, beginning of July, July 1st through next June 30th, so it's way out there, but. Sometimes the events, let's just take Jazz Festival, for example, they've been able to secure more. Sponsorship down the road that, but it's just a worst case scenario. I mean, Joe's been doing it for. Ever,
2 years.
and so he does know, kind of, he has a grasp on, okay, I'm gonna probably need a little bit more sponsorship this year. I know these people usually kick in late, you know, he'll know that stuff and that kind of things. Pick a good first meeting to come to.
Right. All the stuff.
Okay, so, so I guess just going down, does anyone have any other questions on what we talked about last month?
There's really no other areas to cut at the moment, right?
Not really, no, I mean, really, it's just Parks Department, if we wanted to cut that budget down a little bit or something, but I don't know, there's any, I don't want to do that necessarily at all. So Eric is not here, of course, but there was a little bit of confusion with the Parks Department on where planters were gonna go. I believe that we had all decided that we were gonna still keep our big plants down in Old Webster, because we have larger sidewalks and more room. You know, the big ones that give.
Yeah.
And then the hanging pots were gonna be down on this end where they don't have quite the room. I had a discussion with the Parks Department when they were hanging the hanging pots out in front of my store in particular. And they told me I was wrong. And so this was a call I gave into Eric a month ago. I had not, he said he's gonna check with Parks, those planters are still there. So it definitely is something I want to address with them.
On the floor, on the street light,
I've seen that
Yeah.
hanging hooks down
they
on our
just
side
put
too.
them right in front of our door. on
Right,
that sign as well.
exactly, right, yeah, so there was definitely some miscommunication. The person Parks that I talked to said I was crazy. I told him that we funded it. Because it is not the city that funds it, it's we fund it as a taxing district. So
Who directs parks?
Todd Rig.
No,
I mean,
Parks
how-
and Scott Davis.
Oh, I'm sorry, Scott
Yeah,
Davis.
yeah,
sorry,
he's the
Scott
director.
Davis.
And then
Yvonne is the
Yvonne is the
park manager.
park manager and director is the one who's directing,
Is there a map
directly directing the.
A map of where they are?
Okay.
where everything's supposed to be?
Do they,
It's
do they, their
possible.
directions from
It's not been
from
provided
us
to
or
us.
where they're getting at?
Somewhere along the line from here to Yvonne, the communication is not properly given.
Would that normally be an Eric though?
Yes,
He'd be the link.
yes, he would be the one that has to.
So planners further down. That, yeah.
The planters are supposed to be from
Basically, west
basically Straub
Elm is
down
the
to Elm.
west of Elm is pots and east of Elm is baskets.
there was supposed to be a few baskets, I think, between like Jefferson and Rock Hill.
Right there at the entrance. Down where
Right.
the Rockwood is, there
Right.
was gonna be baskets on those,
Again, those sidewalks are narrower down there.
but it's also just a
and
good
such, so
place
that's
for that.
Our idea and our plan. So that I just think but it's gonna be coming time in the next week or two. When those
Right.
things are gonna start to get filled, and that's gonna be a problem. You know, it's a lot easier to fix now, which is not easy to fix now. They're gonna have to be. But my request. I know Stacy does not want a big pot in front of, next to her store, but I will move it in front of my store, which she's already relayed to me. So,
That's because we're doing construction. So I just don't want to have to deal with that as we're doing construction. So
Okay.
next year might be different, Ron. Just-
okay, whatever, I can move it over in front of my building, it's not a problem.
Advertising budget for holiday advertising, what all goes into that? With the events,
It's the Christmas open house. It's the ad package in the Webster Times.
and that's not, because I see Webster Crooked Times ad package in there, so that doesn't include the holiday.
No, that is the money that is put in with all the business districts and they do the Webster wide stuff. So that's separate from the Webster Crooked Times packaging.
Okay.
So that just represents Old Webster's piece of that package. That package that the city does is much bigger than that because that's all the districts put into it.
So it's mostly print and Kirkwood Webster Times and
No, they do radio. If you
Radio
Remember,
also.
remember hearing the radio? Do some TV. There's quite extensive actually.
okay.
That usually gets funneled through the business development commission.
Yes, it does. Jenny Starkey is the one that handles that.
Yeah. And some of it goes to the trade association too for me.
She does, they do take advantage of doing something joint for the open house, which gives us a bigger bang.
Okay.
And only other means it's so minimal as far as how big our budget is, but we're trying to get lower prices on our dumpster, our recycling dumpster that we're using. But that's just gonna be,
Where is a recycling dumpster?
it is behind.
Well,
You put
behind
records behind it?
Yeah,
initial design,
you know where the Heritage Building is?
yes, the three-story
Okay,
building.
so it's behind CJ Muggs building or in that area?
And,
Yeah.
and then behind by the parking garage, but yeah, it like. Initial design, you put records right there. There's a big blue dumpster that's
And is
for
it
single.
for
There's two,
business or is it
it's
for?
businesses, it's there's two dumpsters there. One is for as a trash dumpster that Dan Warner for his buildings. I think there's a big recycling dumpster. And that's for cardboard and recycling for anyone in the district.
We have to bring it over there.
Yes.
Flatten.
Slatin, please. A lot of people throw, every time I throw in there, it's giant boxes. I try to track the people down, but I will tell you that. The people who I've asked Dan about, because it's right behind his building, they're big boxes, he has no idea who those people are. So it could be an employee who lives. Well, the last one was in Edwardsville, which was the mailing thing was on it. And so,
I mean, people do bring dumpster because they just see the recycling dumpster. but
Yeah,
it's-
I mean, we
It's geared for
fill a
businesses.
full dumpster ourselves. Full of cardboard flattened every week. But I didn't know we had them.
I do the same. I have my own cardboard recycling because I go through a ton. I do use that recycling for my single stream stuff, like loose pieces of paper and cans and that type of thing, I put that in there. But for my cardboard, I have a guy who has to come and pick it up. I generate a lot of cardboard.
Yeah, between the jets and, I mean, we had a recycling dumpster, but the building decided to get rid of it,
Mhm.
so. At all their properties,
We had another one too, but
yeah.
What's our annual budget for that?
It's under disposal.
Yeah, it's 22,000.
It's on page 2.
26.
2600.
Question on the lighting budget. I know we cut it way down last month. Eric was supposed to come back with quotes on that other thing.
Yeah,
I know we don't have lighting on it. As the budget, I'm sorry, an agenda topic.
right.
Did we get anything on that?
I went back and looked and I failed to ask Eric. I texted him last night, or when I got his email yesterday, came back as soon as I saw it and went back and asked him about those pots. In particular, but I did not. I also looked for that lighting thing and I never saw it either. So there was supposed to be that bid was supposed to come in that day of our last meeting. So we need to.
What's the lighting question? Just
So we have a lighting question. We were supposed to get some quotes and bids for some other buildings that they're doing. We've put the rooftop lighting around the buildings. We help fund that with a 50-50 match from the building owners or the businesses, whichever ones pay. So I know we cut that down, but we should have ample old money that we've already approved. Yeah,
It's 79 North Forward, 220 West Lockwood. Supposed to have quotes.
220 West.
79 North Forward.
Do they run electricity for these things?
So
Or is
So
it-
there, so the lights. Yes, they have to run, you have to get a licensed electrician to install them, of course, because there's fire, could be a problem. And so we have licensed electricity, a licensed electrician who will run a box to the building. If you have any type of a newer building, you generally have a box next to your HVAC, which on a lot of these buildings is on the roof. And so it's not quite as difficult, but you have to run conduit up and such like that, so.
There's a new one, our section of 220, we've got a outlet on the roof.
That's great, yeah, they would
And
just,
then I'm pretty sure that on above your office, there's. I haven't been up there in a long time, but I think that there's one on that roof too, so they would just need to.
they would just run it, they're LEDs, they don't
Yeah.
use very much energy at all.
Just needs a switch or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
Oh,
dusk to
yeah.
dawn switch.
Yeah.
And the building owner, tenant, whoever pays the actual electric bill, which is usually $2 to $4 a month.
You got to get closer on those bids.
Right, yeah, I'm sure that he has them. I mean, since he said he was getting them in that next day, but, yeah, so the other thing we have wiggle room on to cut. Of course, we don't have to buy more benches, or any of that.
Hopefully, and
Hopefully unless somebody runs over one or.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. But yeah, we cut up money on advertising. Parking, I know Dave isn't all for us funding parking, but we have parking that we have to fund. And just not much wiggle room around that, so.
Parking. The congregational lot. Is that the one?
Behind my shop.
Your shop. Is it full every day with employee park? Is it for employee parking? or
No,
is that
it is for employee parking.
Okay.
It is not full anymore. It was full before the pandemic, though.
Okay.
And so there were times definitely in the afternoon that it was full before that.
Every time I buy it, it's full. I buy it a lot.
Well, it may look full, but it's not, I mean,
for there's
I've tried to use it
you try to pick it up at
and
when school's getting picked up.
no, I stay away from that spot.
It
During lunch hour, it gets.
does.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Customers park.
customers park there. I have employees, I have a shift that gets a couple guys who get there at 11:30 every day. They have to park, farther, but they've never complained. Many years ago, before the pandemic, they would have to park down on Cedar or something like that.
Oh, wow.
So, but anymore, and there's always seems to, if that spot, if it is full, it empties out pretty quickly. So I think it's halfway manageable right now. And that does not really get released for just employee parking. Just kind of, if a couple of customers park there, no one.
Right.
That is the end goal, is to leave spots open for customers.
Right, yes.
I don't see any other wiggle room.
Right, yeah, the only other thing we can really do, is sponsorship for jazz festival and that, and in those instances. You really can't cut that funding, it would just have to be finding outside sponsorships to help cover that, so,
I personally feel, these sponsorships are probably one of our more important
I think-
missions as a commission.
I would agree as well, it brings a lot of people to the area and,
Who's in charge of overall, like, finding underwriters for these events and like, can we
Chairs.
independently
it
go
was
get
Joe,
more
but
money?
it's about to be you.
I volunteer for the easy one.
Yeah, you did.
Each event is. The jazz festival, we do get, it runs between a $40,000 and $50,000 budget.
For that production, right?
So for everything.
Okay.
So this group, last year, we did ask for 7,500. This year, we're asking for 5,000. And we feel that that's gonna be sufficient to,
And then like for big name sponsors, like if we wanted to get like one of the like a liquor sponsor or one of the food vendors or somebody to. I'm just thinking like, who can we go lean on that
okay.
will do us a favor?
Anybody that has money.
Anybody, Dan Warner and Patrick Murphy are soliciting sponsors for the Jazz Festival. For the Christmas open house, that is done with us. Individual businesses sponsoring it. The street dance has not had sponsors in the past. It was originally a small enough event that has grown exponentially, particularly after the pandemic. But it was always a real problem to get sponsors. So it was, if you're willing to come out, which was basically straws and mugs and a couple other people over the years have come out and put something on the street just to put activities out there, but it really is not up until the last year had enough attendance to where sponsorships would have really been an option. And if you know somebody who would like to do a liquor sponsorship or a food sponsorship for the street dance, Dave is really looking for
Money. We can ease the budget up.
We'll talk. Yep. Put some feelers out.
and the scene is changed a little bit. CJ Muggs has always come out in the past. New ownership. Don't know what they're gonna want to do.
By having a booth outside?
They
or-
brought, they put a liquor booth outside. And so beer and wine. And, now, it did cost them. They went and got their own liquor licenses and all of that to do it. But they, never paid anything for it. They've always been a sponsor for the jazz festival and a fantastic partner there.
So they pay for their jazz
Yes.
sponsorship, but not for the street dance.
So
Yes, having sponsorship for street dance this year would be fantastic.
That's in June
So street
Well,
dance,
seventeenth.
you want an update on street dance? Or we-
Let's.
Yeah, close out
let's-
budget.
let's close out budget. So, all right, so, I
Need a
guess we,
motion?
yeah, need a motion to approve the budget as,
I'll make a motion to approve the budget as presented today. No changes.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Okay, let's go to a street dance update.
So street dance scheduled for June 17th. It is on. So thanks to Joe and Dan doing some legwork here in the past month. It is going to be on. There's a challenge with the stage. They found one fluorescent, so that's running along. Yeah, it's kind of the Joe and Dan show, really. We'll be following their lead. About the. I don't know if there's any major things to know. The permit's already been granted from the city. Fran, we're gonna pull you in for a few things.
Sure.
As it
Whatever you
comes.
need.
Just specifically. And I'll write up the thing and share with the crew. But Fran will have you to deliver posters to businesses, solicit volunteers, press release, social media, and the online calendar.
Okay.
I think those are pretty typical what you do. The event's 5 to 10 that day. Brian and I will be in at the tail end to do cleanup. Beyond that, everything's moving along. We haven't really talked about sponsorships. It's a pretty low budget scenario, but it would be nice. I think we're gonna get food trucks. Did you say we charged them in the past or no? Not for this event?
We never had more than two. Because one of the things that I do on social media is really go to one of the restaurants and get food and bring it,
Mhm.
which was very successful last year. You could tell there was all kinds of going on, pizza boxes, et cetera, et cetera.
So I'm assuming the restaurants are on board and where to have like that. Special
Well-
takeout services or something.
I've always asked for that. I don't know if any of them have done that.
I feel like the restaurants, we get jam packed before the event.
Mhm.
And then you'll have people that show up there and then they'll send somebody, they set up their camp. And then they send out the scavengers to go get food. What do you want? Let me go see how long it's
Guilty,
gonna
right?
be. Right, so you
Yeah.
set up your base and then you know, oh no, pizza's right there. So that's probably why, like, we had people that were getting shopping bags full of food from us. Like they just order online and then they just go pick it up. So it's a lot easier than it used to be. For
Yeah, yeah, but it's
everybody.
more set up to do that.
And they hear we have a restroom. And so.
you get a Martin.
Well, we do have
Like a Mardi
porta
Gras
potties, and
scene.
indoor restrooms much nicer.
Huh?
An indoor restroom is much nicer. than
That the
porta potty.
word travels quickly on those events, so that we are very busy just with. And
Just suggested, right? Use the restroom.
So because it is I guess a smaller event than Jazz Fest as far as scale goes. It makes sense to continue to keep it in a similar format. Meaning just 2 food trucks, still direct the patrons to the restaurants?
Directing patrons to the restaurants is absolutely the best that can be done. But it is also good to have some on-site,
An option.
something on-site besides just the all the area restaurants.
I wonder if we could offer offer the restaurants to have a pickup tent at the event.
Absolutely.
But you run into a problem with food being cold.
Oh, okay.
So we keep all of our, like, most restaurants should keep their food hot while they're waiting to get picked up. But we're all, at least this side of Old Webster, or our side, is very close to, where everyone is. I think if you push the people to the restaurants and then have some overflow for people that aren't from around Webster, that don't know to go to the restaurants, they're just going to the event. And then if you've got a food truck or 2, or a restaurant that might have a booth there selling stuff, they'll do some business. And I guess just making sure that the food trucks do show up. And I think we've had a few years where the weather has been bad, so
Yeah, it's always, yeah,
it's always.
so, it's one of those things that's, storm moves through that night, it's like, oh,
Right.
We problematic, right?
Right.
And has there been any communication with CJ Muggs?
Not yet.
Not at this point.
That new ownership
Is it new ownership now?
is new ownership. I have not met them. I've still seen Sam's car outside there, but I haven't.
I haven't been lucky to drop in when they're there. Although the employees all have positive things to say, so that's a good sign.
Yeah, we've been there for dinner a couple times. The unchanged really.
it does boggle my mind that it seems like those businesses who do, like if CJ Muggs sets up, they're just constantly selling beer, wine, and liquor nonstop.
How is that not
I
a
don't know
huge
how it's
windfall?
not, I have no idea how it's not lucrative. I just can't
is.
even imagine.
Huge windfall.
So the
$8 beers.
the math on booths is how much are you gonna sell? So for food wise and liquor wise, like, you don't wanna run out, but you don't wanna order too much.
Mhm.
So if they're saying that they're not making money on it, that means that somebody's taking the money, because Straub's did like massive amounts of sales of alcohol and wine for Jazz Fest and food. But yeah, like staff, you have to pay your labor, any permit fees, and then pay somebody to count all the cash at the end. That's so I mean, it's,
Oh, no, it's definitely lucrative.
yeah, it's a pain because it's outside of, you're right
For sure.
there, and then you gotta put a booth outside to get customers. But yeah, if they don't do a liquor booth, let me know, or they don't want to. We can,
You can do that.
yeah. Like, can you have more than one, or what if? I mean,
I don't think there's any prohibition on.
No.
okay,
No, there's no reason not to do more than one.
It just hasn't been solicited.
It hasn't been solicited in the past. And up until last year, I'm not truly sure it would have been justified.
Right.
Last year, we had 2,500, 3,000 people eat.
is that the Jazz Fest?
Prior years, it was half.
Street dance, but street dance. Prior years, it was at most half that.
People were coming into us for liquor.
Yeah.
You should set up a little sign.
All my friends were right outside of your store. That explains a lot.
Here, there's a little bar in the back.
Last year, the street was entirely full,
Mhm.
which is the first time that had ever.
Oh yeah, there were people set up on the side, like up Moody. They couldn't even see the stage, but they still were set up.
It was a big event.
So weather
So-
dependent.
So unlike Jazz Fest, though, it's single day, single stage, one spot.
Yeah. basically one band.
Now, I will say also CJ Muggs always has their employees big help with cleanup at the end of the night. One of the main folks that are helping. Can I help you?
Who's the mayor?
I'm sorry?
Who's the mayor?
Mayor's not here. How can I help you?
Can't get a police report.
All right. So that's the extent of the street festival. Some good news is it's still gonna happen.
Thank you for taking it on.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, I was thinking about solution.
I've been out there 5 times. I talked to them 5 times, officer on vacation for a whole month. We got I talked
So
to.
we'll see if we can, we'll do some math and see about doing it, getting any sponsorship for,
I went up to the table.
I'll be back on street dance.
Yeah, I think it'd be great. It'd be great to have vendors there.
And then
You know,
see if we
online, so
can
it's just shift
maybe have a
away.
booth. We're
Yes.
looking at getting another snowball machine,
Mhm.
which can run mobilely.
That would be cool.
I think that would be good for the kids.
That would be wonderful.
And
I've always tried to get sometimes somebody to bring out some desserts or something.
Yeah, when Forenza Pizza was here,
Mhm.
they would have their ice cream there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was always very popular.
And then we tried to get the fire and ice truck here and.
That didn't work out.
So we'll have power down at the stage, but is there anything out? Any opportunities at the
No.
Lockwood end?
Yeah, CJ Muggs is always running
From
electric
consumption?
into their,
we've got a generator.
yeah, the food trucks have their own generator.
Good, it'd be great.
We can always,
That would be
when it
cool.
gets close to it, we will figure out if we need to get a small generator or something for somebody. That's probably can be found and done.
Very good.
Let it snow.
But if somebody brought goods out, I'm sure that they would do a fantastic business.
But then again, I mean, I'm not poo-pooing on the dessert idea, but snow cones, nothing's gonna go bad, right?
Right.
You know, desserts, if they don't get eaten, you know, if you have a bunch of pies and all of a sudden they're like,
Well, I'm really talking about the ice cream.
yeah, stuff that
Well, I
you can
think-
preserve, that liquor,
You guys do
wine,
snow,
you know.
that's like,
It's gonna be huge.
well, and it's perfect because they're an old Webster business.
Yes,
That's so,
absolutely.
it's.
That sells
perfect.
snow cones.
I think about ice cream, but it's like. Serendipity makes our ice cream for us,
Mhm.
and so it'd be like. It's hard to scoop ice cream
Mhm.
Yes.
outside an event and then. It's messy.
You could do boozy snow cones.
Yes, we will work on that. We do them in-house right now, but I think that if we do something, we would get a liquor license and have that.
That would be awesome.
I think it could be cool.
To be honest with you, need to have both a picnic liquor license of some sort and a if you're only doing liquor, you did need to have the food
We would need
thing,
food.
but
and-
you would need the county health department license also.
Any other old business that we, typically our budget does not go this fast. We've done a lot of work up to this point, so.
Thank you, everyone.
Usually it's like grueling thing. Any other old business? We talked about rooftop lighting, which we hope we'll hear back from Eric on. We talked about street dance. I don't think there's anything else.
And then could talk about Jazz Fest. Any other events?
Jazz Fest is coming along. Hours are gonna change probably a little bit, probably not start till 1 o'clock. On Saturday, September 16th. And then go until 10:30 or 11. But everything other than that is planned to go exactly as it has been done for the last 20 some odd years.
How many people just here for Genesis?
12 to 15,000.
All of them.
I remember looking down the street and like. There's a lot of
It
people.
is amazing.
I tried to do a kind of a rooftop count one year. And doing a multiplication from, there had to be at least 7,000 people on board. At 8:30, 9 o'clock. So we've come up with a count between 12 and 15,000 during the day. And we have 2 stages. We also have a stage over an alley.
Who's your biggest sponsor? If you don't mind all my questions.
The presenting sponsors of Webster Pepper Times. And then the 2 stage sponsors are Webster University and Sunset Hills Subaru.
They're all on this year.
They all on for this year. We've got Novus also signed on and active paid. Those are the ones I can think of off the top.
How much does a sponsorship cost?
Anywhere from $8,000 down. The stage sponsors are 5,000. The next level sponsorship is 2,500. Which is Novus. Right now. And they will get signage, stage signage. And then the next level is usually $1,000 or whatever underneath that. And they'll get name recognition during the event. They will have their name on the stage, not a logo or anything. The name will be on the page and in the program.
I just noticed under advertising, am I missing the holiday open house on here? Because I see the holiday advertising, but that's not the same.
Wouldn't that include an open house?
The holiday open house is not on this.
For a sponsorship or advertising?
How they air, well,
They would call it a sponsorship, just like the other events.
yeah,
Stacy's right, that's not on there.
that's always been a $5,000.
Yep,
item.
thank goodness I can comment.
So there's a separate holiday advertising and then the holiday open house.
Yeah, no,
I don't see a separate call out in the prior year.
In the
In
prior
the prior year numbers,
document,
I'm looking at. Or a document from last month. We had 2019 actuals, 2020, 2021, and 22 actuals. And I don't see a separate call out.
I guess that would be a question.
I don't either,
Information.
Question right here.
yeah,
So can I make a motion to change holiday advertising to holiday open house?
but that might not be what it is, Stacy.
Oh, okay,
That might be the stuff, the package that Jennifer Starkey works on.
Okay,
I think it's everybody's intention for it to be there, and if the budget has to be amended, I
mhm.
would say that there'll be no problem in amending it.
Great.
That last one.
So really, will that be 20, will that be 27,000
what?
on there, do you think?
Can't have more money.
Let's get it. I think we
I
should
say
wait
we
for
get clarity from
confirmation,
Eric.
right? We need clarity on that. Stress out if we're not. But then.
Yeah, I think that's why I was asking about the holiday advertising. Like, I
If it's-
feel like it's probably
there's not a-
somewhere in there.
If there's not a line item in any of the prior year budgets,
Yeah, it's not
it
cool.
wasn't, it was the same on
Mhm.
the one before this one.
Yep.
And it had actuals, like you were saying, with 2019, 2020, 2021, and 2022.
Mhm. There's.
But in the
two
past,
very-
it's been $5,000 that we have
Where-
received, that we have
where
given.
do you
to the
see that?
holiday.
Where
Well, I
is
just
that?
know, I know we
And
have, because I've been on the
just
board.
Historically, there's
Historically
always
is what she
been
means.
$5,000 for the Christmas open house. I don't remember last month, any discussion.
It relates to that.
Okay, clarification from Eric, so we can, what's, a little bit into that, how they advertise it. You know, if it's not the open house, then we'll get back to you.
Okay.
Actually, the Walktoberfest was not supposed to be a $5,000 item.
I show a question mark by that too, like the Oktoberfest.
Yeah, Walktoberfest, that was supposed
I think we discussed it being 3,600 or 3,500 or something.
That's my recollection too. so-
My notes say, if you look at the minutes, and that's from my notes. For now, keep the Oktoberfest at 5. Keep
Oh.
is in quotes in my notes. But that was a for now, so. we talked about it, but you didn't change it.
Yeah, we spent, I think it came in at 3,600 last year, so
That's just for advertising, I would assume.
Mhm.
it was for bands,
For everything.
everything.
Printing, et cetera.
All right, we'll get clarification from Eric on that, Stacy. And then what's necessary.
Mhm.
Okay,
My dad's first comment was going to be that for the number of people that you charge way too low for your sponsorships. That's, I know it's hard to change in your industry at this point, so it's.
I don't disagree with that, but I have
The wheels have been moving.
Thanks. Yeah, it's one of those things, yeah, it's easier said than done, until you have to get sponsorships.
Of
You know what I'm
course,
saying?
of course, yeah.
But I think liquor is a good, like.
Yeah, beer sponsor. You know,
The beauty is we're not kicking in a huge amount.
Right.
As a commission, so.
Right.
Right. We were funding a lot more, but a different story.
Well. Last year Schlafly was a sponsor. And
Are they
it's
this year or
$2,500.
no? Not yet.
I don't remember them being on the list for this year.
With four hands, I mean, there might be some.
Well, prior to that, we had always had Gray Eagle.
Right.
As a sponsor on. Whether it was, they chose different ones every year that they were promoting. But last year, we had gone to Schlafly.
I wonder if Perennial would be interested.
That's a possibility too. That's Dan and Patrick are working on the sponsors.
Okay, anything else from anyone? All right, meeting's adjourned. Next meeting will be 25th of April.
Excellent. Thank you.
Meetings.
It's a four hands likes those types of events.
Yeah, that could really solve our problem, is a few larger sponsors.